Before Ranking Member Portman and I make some brief closing remarks, Secretary Marcus, I think I'd like to ask you about some very concerning images that were released yesterday that appeared to show Border Patrol agents whipping Haitian migrants. These acts certainly are intolerable and a complete diversion from your agency's mission. And my question to you is, can you explain to the committee what you'll be doing to address what Americans saw when looking at those images?
I'm very pleased you asked that question. It has been uppermost in my mind since I first saw the images late yesterday, Mr. Chairman. We commenced an investigation in my direction immediately. The Office of Professional Responsibility within the Department of Homeland Security's U.S. Customs and Border Protection, number one. Number two, we alerted the Inspector General of the incidents. Number three, I directed that the Office of Professional Responsibility be present on site in Del Rio 24/7 to ensure that the conduct of our personnel adheres to our policies, to our training, and to our values. I was horrified to see the images, and we look forward to learning the facts that are adduced from the investigation, and we will take actions that those facts compel. We do not tolerate any mistreatment or abuse of a migrant, period. I also want to say, and I think it's very important to say, that I saw two other powerful things yesterday when I was there under the bridge in Del Rio. Number one, I saw the acute vulnerability of the Haitian population, the predominantly Haitian population, and I cannot overstate how difficult that is to see. We are speaking about vulnerable individuals in tragic circumstances. I also saw the extraordinary work of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, not only the United States Border Patrol, but its Office of Field Operations, as well as other agencies within the Department of Homeland Security that have been surged to Del Rio to address the situation in partnership with state and local law enforcement personnel, as well as the forces in civil society. We saw the American Red Cross. We saw World Central Kitchen providing food and supplies to these individuals. It's an all of government and all of local society effort there. And I want to say that the actions that we saw, the images that we saw, do not speak of the incredible men and women of U.S. Customs and Border Protection or of the Department of Homeland Security as an institution.
Thank you for those comments. Ranking Member Portman, you have some closing remarks? Yeah, I just want to go back to the first line of questioning and the question that I asked you. And I certainly understand and respect that CASEA is an ongoing investigation, but the FBI's actions here may have cost millions of dollars and possibly even more than that. The FBI, in my mind, is going to need to explain this action. We need to know who signed off on it, who was aware, and whether the cost to the bottom line of American families and businesses was considered in that decision process. We also need to know what operational benefits the FBI believed it would gain by withholding this information, and if you were actually successful. These are just some of the questions that come to mind immediately, and this is just had to come immediately because we got this information not from the FBI, but we received this information by reading the Washington Post. We would hope that we would get information of this critical nature in a direct manner, not through reading it in a secondary source. And perhaps most importantly, we need to know if the FBI has done this before and if it's occurring in other cases. And I would expect a classified briefing that is substantive, not just canned responses. And Director Wray, you know this committee is also working on cybersecurity legislation, and I certainly plan to work and make sure the FBI is transparent so that we can effectively carry out our legislative and oversight duties. And certainly I appreciate your commitment today in committee to briefing the committee, and I look forward to getting that scheduled as soon as practical. In closing, to join Senator Portman and all my colleagues in thanking the witnesses for being here today. I certainly, and we all recognize that you have extremely busy schedules, and we're grateful that you took the time to be here. and to answer some tough questions on the tough problems that we're facing as a country. The committee is working to address many of the issues that were discussed today. I look forward to continuing our conversation about cyber attacks and what tools and information the federal government needs to better prevent breaches and attacks at our hearing coming up in a couple days on Thursday. Senator Portman and I have been working on legislation related to reporting cybersecurity breaches and ransomware payments, and I look forward to introducing and moving that legislation very soon. The committee will be continuing our oversight of security and border security personnel practices at both the northern and the southern borders. And in the coming days, the committee will receive a classified member briefing on the multi-agency efforts to screen and resettle Afghan refugees. While we have spent several productive hours during this hearing examining our nation's greatest security threats, there's still much more work to do for this committee to continue conducting the oversight that we are required to do and ensuring that our national security agencies are effectively focused on all of their critical missions. I look forward to continuing to work productively with my colleagues on the committee to ensure that we're doing everything, absolutely everything in our power to safeguard American communities. With that, the record for this hearing will remain open for 15 days until 5 p.m. on October 6, 2021 for the submission of statements and questions for the record. The hearing is now adjourned.